Good morning, everybody, to this World TV. And today we have a special guest. And for us in Hawaii, it's morning. And it's, do we say Arabia Saudite or Saudi Arabia?
Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia. So in French, you know, we reverse. And Dr. Patricia Knox is with us, and she will share with us her journey in this famous world of quantum medicine. But before we start, you know, I like, you know, we in the past we have also guests like a student that have shared their journey, and there is some familiarity between them. You know, they all, everyone has to face different difficulties, and it takes most of the time creativity to go over it. And this is probably, there's many messages this morning, but that would be certainly one of them. And this is what is about quantum medicine. It's a process, it's a journey where you learn knowledge, how to heal, help others, but it's also a growing process where we have to adjust ourselves with our outside reality. And today, you know, I was very excited to have Dr. Knox with us because she is part of this group of students that sign in our university that are not necessarily in America. And we have more and more of these students. Last year, 50% of the new students who joined the university were in other countries, from Asia, Africa, and of course, we have also Canada, America, but South America. So we have students on all the continents. And most of the time, students will call us and they will ask about regulation in Canada or United States. But the same situation is also present in other countries. It's not even easier. Sometimes it's more difficult. And you will see with Dr. Knox, it's not just a question of regulation, but it's also a question of culture. And this is why it's so fascinating. And of course, this morning I will ask her many questions. You know, how her journey starts, and of course she's also one of our brilliant students. She was awarded a year ago for her PhD as one of the winner. And her thesis, I believe, Alexis, is also available on the website. Is it? Yes. So we will give the link later on if you want to see what is the work she done, because it's also a template for others. Before we start, I'd like also to share some idea. This morning I was meditating on the subject. It's amazing how this quantum medicine now it's not just an idea, it's not just a concept, it's really a living reality. And more it goes. It's not just in one place, as I said, but it's really worldwide. And you probably, if you have listened to some of my class, you remember this philosopher, paleontologist Théard de Chardin, who spoke about noosphere, and we have also Shandrake, who speak about morphogenetic resonance. So today we are not the whole planet is kind of a small world, and ideas and concepts and paradigms that we are going through now that appear in this new realm of healing it's like contagious, you know. It's like, you know, there is a lot of community of people that think about this, and this is a lot of hope for healthcare because this new paradigm shift is about healing. It's about to dig, to explore a realm where we have access to another view, another take of to the understanding of how to help and heal people, which is more a perspective of full potentiality. I spoke about this many times before, and this is what it's about. Because, you know, in our society, modern society, be healthy become very expensive and non-affordable, and it's so it's in the hands of, you know, sometimes small group, and they have established roles, but there is much more than that. And this is what we are discovering now. We are discovering a new fuel of healing. And all of us, you know, are in this journey together. So, but let's start with Dr. Knox. And I remember when I met her the first time was on the phone. At that time, she was in Japan and just in the process to move. Can you share with us these memories, Dr. Patricia?
Yeah, my husband works with a chemical company. He's project manager. And so his job has taken us from the U.S. to Japan, where we lived for 2.5 years. And now we've been here in Saudi Arabia another 2.5 years, where the plant is actually being constructed. So I continued pursuing my endeavors while he was away at work. And in my getting involved with quantum feedback, I was working on my certified biofeedback specialist, and I wanted to see if there was a way that all these courses I was having to take in continuing education would ultimately add up to a master's degree. I contacted IQUIM just to see if they had any, because they had continuing education courses available, but I wanted to see if any of them would work into another degree. And I talked with Dr. Paul, and he said, well, why don't you just go for the doctorate? You'll end up with the master's along the way, and there's not a time limit on finishing it. So I thought, why not? So I got started, and then I'm trying to think, is it almost 2 years ago you started the PhD program? And when started that, I don't know why I jumped in and said I'm going to do a PhD, but I did, and I'm very glad I did.
Because your idea was to say, I think, let me to get there, and but I said, no, we have this format, you know, you can study with an iPad, and so I think was also a point, right? That you...
It was very much so, because I was anticipating moving and thinking I would start the program once I got to Saudi Arabia, because I knew that in Saudi Arabia I'd be living on a compound and I would have very limited freedom here. So I needed to be doing something to stay busy. But you said, well, all that time you're moving, you're on the airplane, you're, you know, traveling. At that time it was the iPod.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
I started. And you said, well, you can just sit and listen on the airplane. And you know, that was an excellent idea. I did a lot of hours. Japan to US was like 14-hour flights. So, and then to Saudi Arabia, it takes me nearly 30 hours. So I had a lot of time on airplanes to use my iPod.
This situation happen very often. People think all the time, you know, okay, when I will be there and established, now I will have all the time in the world. And most of this is what happens, you know. And in this transit time, there is windows where you can, you know, because we have this format either. At that time was the iPod, not now it's the iPad, where you can that you can use instead to wait. And I like to mention that because it's very, very, very common. And in this world, fast world, you know, where everything goes, you know, we have to find a half hour here and a half hour there, because this is the only way that this project of, you know, go to a PhD and do all the course, you know, is possible. And then let's speak more now about this reality where you are now, the social reality. You know, tell us a little bit more how this work over there, because for many of us it's like a kind of a mystery world. You know, how can you you know, start to relate with people and know that you exist and you are a healer, and so I don't think it's an easy social environment, right?
No, definitely this is not an easy environment. In Saudi Arabia, women exist, but Not really. They are not allowed to drive. There are a few professions where they're allowed to work. They can be doctors. They can be in professions where they deal just with women. Now, there are a few cases now where at a grocery store there's an all-women's checkout lane, and they just finally approved that women can be the sales clerk in lingerie stores. So there's very, very little opportunity for women. Now, for foreign women, they can come in and they can be teachers in the, foreign schools. But there's really not much opportunity for someone like myself to really go anywhere, do anywhere. We're pretty well restricted to a compound. We do have a driver that will take us to the grocery store in certain places, but we do not have access into the Saudi Arabian community. We are very much excluded and secluded from them.
So
it's a challenge.
It's kind of a real challenge, and I hope everybody's listening here, because many times this is what the students come with, how I will start a clientele and how people will know about me. But you cannot be more isolated than the situation what we are speaking about. And so in this program we learn about creativity. And this is what it's about, and I want to point, this is so important because it's also the story of the university itself, your practice, who you are, is like a living things, that has to change and adapt. And then how we will, I don't know how you find your solution, but most of the time, the solution doesn't appear right away. You think it's almost impossible. How many times, I was thinking this project of university and I say it's way over my head. But then you go sleep and then the morning after, then something happens and then something you didn't think about it. And this is true for everybody. When I start my practice in Canada, remember, the medical doctor cannot advertise themselves in Canada. You just can put a little small picture in the, and the size is very limited, but then from there, I built a practice of 10,000 people, and then universe is at work. It is at work in any kind of situation. This is what we have to understand. I have, you see, in your case, you face for me like an impossible social situation. Some will be facing like a financial situation. They will say, "Oh, we don't have the money. We cannot, go in this program." But I saw also other that didn't have any money and they went to all the programs. So, and it's true in this world of where we are now in creativity, the quantum medicine, but it's also true, I think, about the whole general society, where we have the problem with employment and healthcare, and many situations looks like almost insolvable, and I think the key here is creativity, not limiting ourselves. So tell us more about what's happened after, because here you are in a social environment where the woman is already defined in a very specific way. You're recluded in your compound, and not only that, you have also to solve, not only the credential, but the capacity to practice. So, how did you put all this together? What was for you the next step?
Yeah, first off, I do not practice as such under the Saudi government. I do not have an approval to practice. So what I do is I just help people. I'm here, and you can give information, you can be a blessing wherever you go. And that's how I just have pursued it, is that God's given me a wonderful gift, the gift of knowledge, and I like to share it with people. And initially, you start with when you meet people, you just start visiting. you start sharing, and they open up. There's a point where they'll say something. You know, one of my early contacts mentioned some problem that she was having with her legs. And I said, oh, well, did you know? You know, well, come on over. I can let you use a piece of my quantum technology. And she got better. Well, she was very pleased with her experience. So she told others. We live on a compound with probably 300 families. So there are a lot of people that can be blessed just from one person having success. And so that's where I started. And then I started doing some classes to teach people that there are natural ways, simple ways that you can help and improve your health. And I use the definition of health that when you have health, you don't think about your body. You know, your body's not talking to you when you're healthy. And so we work from that standpoint is, well, what can you do? And simple things. I mean, I'm living here in a desert. You're talking to people about drinking water, being hydrated. That solves a lot of health problems. There's a lot of simple things. So that's where I started, with just educating people, whether it's in a personal conversation or whether it was in classes. And then gradually, obviously, people, well, gosh, you know, can I talk to you in private? Can I come see you? I have something special I'd like to talk with you about. And so a clientele had just sort of gradually built up, sort of by word of mouth, from overhearing something at the swimming pool. Maybe I told somebody else, or would go out to dinner. People start talking. I'm actually talking to the person on my left, and 3 people on my right want to follow up with something. So pretty much just, I guess I would say I do a lot of pro bono work. As people are not comfortable with the idea that health can be simple. In fact, I had one lady say to me, she said, it just seems impossible that it can be so simple. It's just not as complicated and mysterious as our Western medical system has made it out to be. When you understand the body, especially as we're taught through IQM, where we talk from a point of, you know, we have the consciousness, and everything has a downward causation. And that from that we have a supramental being, which carries that archetype of who we are. And I like to equate that, you know, I have to put that in a little more simple terms, but I say that's the original plan. When you were pulled out of creation and you were made, this was you. This was that original plan. And then from that original plan, once you're being born, everything that happens to you, around you, everything you experience, you learn, you study, that affects that mental body. And I try to explain to people that so much of that happens before you're 5 years old. And prior to 5 years old, the brain is in delta theta waves, so you're not making judgments. You're not picking and choosing what information goes in there. So there's a lot of programs in that mental body that are running and controlling things that you do, how your body functions, that you really don't have any idea are happening. And then from that, of course, all that mental body feeds into your vital body, which carries the morphogenic blueprints. And those blueprints, in a chemical plant, we call them the PNIDs, the drawings. And that's what, you know, the construction crew will take and build a plant with. Well, so if your drawings are messed up, then the physical plant's going to be messed up. And that's how it is in the body. You interrupt the energy, or you have some, I don't know, blockage, misalignment, something, then the physical body, it does not work right. And so if people, they're always, right now, they look so much at just the physical, and if I can get them to start thinking that there could be a disruption in that mental processing. You could have a belief in there that's operating and sabotaging your conscious beliefs because it's sitting there operating. Or That might all be fine, but you've got an energy blockage somewhere, some disruption in your energy. Well, as long as that disruption is there, you can apply all the pills and exercise and everything you want, and the physical is still going to be wrong. And since this is a big industrial area where we live, I often use the illustration of how a chemical plant is, or an oil refinery is put together. Is you start with that basic idea from the board of directors. We are going to have a chemical plant. So from their resources, all right, so from the consciousness, if you will, the resources that you create, then you're going to say, we're going to make an ethylene plant. Well, that would be the supramental body. That's the idea of who you really are. And then from that ethylene plant designation, you go into what they call FEED, front-end engineering design. And that is where they sit and they decide, what do we want? Do we need an ethylene cracker? Do we need boilers? Do we, just what do we need to make an ethylene plant? Well, again, the idea of the ethylene plant is perfect, just like our supramental bodies are perfect. But when you get into this feed, mistakes could be made. Somebody could say, we need a boiler that handles 2 million barrels a day, but the boiler really needs to handle 3 million barrels a day. So if that mistake is made at that stage, it doesn't matter how good the drawings are that come in the EPC stage, which is like the vital energy, or the construction phase, which is the physical body. If they made a mistake up in that original feed when they're planning it in the mental body, there's going to be a mistake in the physical. And so people have to start to look at where the disruption might be. And once they tackle what body is out of place, it's amazing how the physical body falls in line.
I'm very impressed this morning. I feel like I'm a student now and learning from you. It's interesting how you have implement this knowledge from the program. The bliss supramental and mental and physical. And sometimes people will, some student will say, oh yeah, but it's so complicated, and how I can explain this to my client, and I think you just made a very beautiful demonstration here. And another, what I see also is, there's, and if you go back in previous World TV and you listen to the testimony of Dr. Charlene Reeves, after she finished her program, what she decides is to go in a small community where nobody know her. And her first step was to do what you just done. So instead to think about, here I need the client, I need this, I need that, she just went, toward these people and start to belong to their social group and give lecture and conference. And that part, it's not all the time well understood. How you get out there, and how first is, think to bring instead to, and give instead to, and I have my bill to pay, and how I will pay this and that. So at first, it's like this first move of contribution. And this is what the university we have explored with World Organization of Natural Medicine. Everybody knows that we have this idea of tuition award and idea that the student can contribute, to a humanitarian clinic to the client. And in some ways, of course, there is nothing new there, but the fact that we implement this now in integrative medicine, on natural medicine, I think is a little bit different, because when I came in the field 10 years ago, you all the time listen about natural medicine as an opportunity, or there's all the time a financial aspect, but there's the aspect that, like in medicine, we have doctor without border. Even in America, you see now clinic, that will provide free services. But we don't see this too much in natural medicine. So when a few years ago I met Dr. Sheila McKenzie, you know, and she spoke to me about this World Organization of Natural Medicine, this idea of contribution. I was very excited about it, and we have implemented this at university. And I think was also very helpful for you. You know, I like you share with us your experience with World Organization of Natural Medicine. I know you were also awarded by them in last fall, because we met together there at the Congress of World Organization of Natural Medicine. So tell us more a little bit about this. I think it's very important part of your story.
When after I got my PhD, I went online to see where the certification boards were, and there was the Board of Natural Medicine Doctors and Practitioners of North America, which is affiliated or a subgroup of the World Organization of Natural Medicine. There was also the American Alternative Medical Association, and those were the two that I applied for certification with. Now, the World Organization of Natural Medicine fit my need best because of the fact that I live internationally. I do not live in the United States. And so at least I was under an umbrella, a world organization that had a certification. So that was the real goal or reason I wanted to go with that organization. And then part of the requirements, though, for maintaining that certification is to provide or to serve 10 hours a year in clinics for humanity. Well, when I originally inquired, they said that I had to join a clinic that was either in Haiti or in Canada, which, of course, living in Saudi Arabia, that was not particularly convenient. So I talked to Dr. McKenzie about being able to try to do that here in Saudi Arabia, where I live. The need is very great here where I live in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabians generally are not the labor force. They like to be the boss, not the laborer. So they bring in a lot of what they call third country nationals. Those are individuals that come in India, Pakistan, Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, and they're not treated very well. In many ways, could call it common, modern day slavery for some people, because when they arrive here, their passports are taken away from them and held by their employer, and that is by law. And so they do not have the freedom to leave this country without permission. And that's just Saudi Arabian law. Now, they come here because they make good money by comparison to whatever they made or could make at home. So there's financial motivation to be here. And they live very meager existences because they send what they earn home. And so my hope was, on several fronts. I wanted to be able to reach out to them, to offer them, again, this idea of natural ways to take care of their bodies, to improve their health inexpensively. I mean, there are a lot of things I do with quantum technology that's expensive, but there are also very simple things. Like I said, just even knowing to drink water, when to drink it, how much to drink at any given time, things like that to hydrate the body can make a huge difference in their health. And so I started on that level with our compound, because we employ, I'm thinking, almost 200 different workers here on the compound. They do everything from gardening to electricians to they drive the buses if we want to go to a grocery store, things like that. And so I started approaching, but I got nowhere, basically, just as myself. Now, when the World Organization of Natural Medicine sent me a letter and said that in November I would be awarded, basically, or appointed, if you will, an ambassador for the World Organization of Natural Medicine, and specifically to set up clinics for humanity in Saudi Arabia, I was able to take that letter then into our compound management, and then explain what I'd like to do. And the reception I got was amazing. That letter was like turning a light on in a pitch black room. The reception I got was totally different. You know, a world organization that I was I was an ambassador for, that I was offering my services for free to the employees for the compound. That was like a gift from heaven to them at that point. And right away they expressed they had concerns. Several individuals had back problems, were in a lot of, pain, discomfort. Was there anything I could do that could help with that? And yes, there was. I know a nice little technique called PIDS, which I'm not even sure what all the definition means, but I learned it from Dubai. And I was able to do 2 clinics where I instructed a group of the workers here in how to do some self-help exercises for back pain. And there were 2 individuals in those classes that definitely had significant pain. And it's been fun. I catch up with them every so often on the compound, and I check with them. And since they've learned these techniques that they can do themselves, neither one of them are having any reoccurring pain. So, again, little things. It maybe was 2 individuals that actually admitted they had a problem and got help, but that opened the door, and to be able to start working with, I'll call the TCN community. And then the next step was to try to see if our company, which hires a lot of them as our drivers, we have a whole pool of drivers, if I could start doing little clinics for them. Again, if I can teach them how to do, spinal manipulation, if you will, or self-care for their spines. They sit and they drive, and it's they can end up injuring themselves because that's what they're doing, day in, day out, just sitting. And if they're not sitting right, or they, can't, if they have an injury in their back, then they don't work. So we haven't got those clinics set up, but we've been talking. The next thing is we want to set up a series of clinics where we teach very simple things and keep them in very short units of time, because language is an issue here. So we've got to do something that you can teach without a lot of need for understanding the language. And we're going to try to teach just the hands-on CPR technique where you just do the chest compressions. I figured that would be a critical skill, especially for all of us who ride in these vehicles. We'd like to have our drivers skilled in, simple CPR techniques. We'd like them to be trained in what to do if there was an accident and someone was injured. Could they stop bleeding? Things like that. So I've got a proposal out to see if they will allow us to start doing some free clinics for humanity to instruct this whole pool of drivers. And then obviously the next hope is that once those are accepted and how would you say it? They like it. They feel that it's helpful. That one company will talk to another company and they'll say, oh, well, they did this for my drivers, maybe they'll do it for us. Or they did it for your company, maybe they'll do it for us. I've spoken to several organizations, American Business Association. I've spoken to the something of the women of the Western or Eastern provinces. So trying to get the word out there that naturally you need to get educated about your body. And if you get educated, there are a lot of simple things that you can do. And that we're offering these clinics to those who can't afford them. So it's a little piece getting in. Now, I had trouble. I tried to get into the Saudi Arabian special ed school. They have a school that handles about 16 children with autism. And then they also have those another group of children that has other special needs. And being as my whole motivation for getting into this entire program came because we have a son with autism. I was really hoping to be able to do these clinics for these children with autism. And that's a very slow process. I had my first meeting probably a year ago. And that was initially they were very standoffish and no, we're not going to go anywhere with this. But once I explained what I wanted to do, they were very excited. But then the problem comes in that women cannot make decisions for their children. Only the fathers can.
Yeah, before you go in the subject of autism, I'd like to comment, this first part of your story, and we will go there because I think it's very important. I like to, because many people are listening now, and they said, "Oh yeah, but what is for me here?" And then she's in another country, and what this means, this humanitarian clinic. And in fact, I really acknowledge Dr. Patricia Knox because she's what we can say a real pioneers and to have implement this idea of humanitarian clinic. But I like to go on our website just to show you, because many times I speak about this idea and it's very difficult for the student to relate with it. The university is work with different board, and it's very important because one of our concern is that no matter which country you are, which state, you have a way to be able to express this art of healing, which is integrative medicine and natural medicine. So, and this is why, can you come back on the website, please? This is why, a few years ago we have and this is not the only board. We have many one, but one specific one is in Canada. It's called Board of Natural Medicine Doctor and Practitioner and Board of Integrative Medicine. And then there is the third one that you see below, which is World Organization Natural Medicine. They are in some way sisters, association. So, and the World Organization Natural Medicine is the umbrella under which our students in all countries can belong to. And as we have an example this morning with Dr. Knox, any student or overseas can belong to this organization. They are already probably in 20 countries. The situation of Dr. Knox was very special because they were not already in that country. And this is what she was assigned as an ambassador. So she became a representative of the World Organization Natural Medicine in this country. And that could be possible for any student who will like to belong to World Organization and there is natural medicine and there is no representation in this country. So this is something which is possible. But now I like also you understand that can we do this humanitarian work or humanitarian clinics inside America? The answer is yes. And that was the idea when we create, can you go now on the website, see Quantum Natural Medicine Association? This is this association through which, we have created this tuition award. So, and it's another idea that very often the student is not completely aware, and of course it takes time before we implement all this. But most of the students, when they sign up in the program, they will have a discount, and especially, in the back to school now, the discount is even bigger. And which is, the discount is more a tuition award. In other words, when they have been graduated and they are PhD and they are already board certified, they can also do some humanitarian work in exchange of, the tuition award they have received. And as you see now, Dr. Knox, that's an edge for her to start her practice. And it's not, I saw this not just for her, I saw this for other students too, It's not you have to provide all your service free. But, if you can give a few hours a year, it can not only help other clients, but also it's a way for you to be part of a community. So, and then it's possible to have a recognition inside your own clinic here in America or in Canada, in the United States, and provide this and these hours of service to the community, and then later on be recognized by World Organization Natural Medicine as a humanitarian clinic. So we have created this the association, this link, you know, that it's possible. And this year, what we have done at the university, we will honor, we have a contest like we done the year before, you know, with the PhD. The best humanitarian work will be honored by the university. You will have 3 prizes. Of course, you know, I think it's the first prize will be $5,000, and then the second $3,000, and then the third $1,000 for the best work of the year. And I have to let you know that Dr. Knox has already, I would say, an option, or an option on this, but you know, she can be compete at this point. And this is what I want to let you know this morning. You know, of course, she's in a situation which is in some way, very dramatic when you speak about this social environment and difficulty. And here, you know, the fact that she has relate herself with World Organization Natural Medicine, start this project, has opened her a lot of doors. Same thing it can be in your community when you start to do some humanitarian. And it could be very simple, you know. She's speaking about education. When you are a PhD, this is something that is easier because you have a PhD is a doctor, but a doctor will all the time have an aura and kind of an authority that not others have in the community. And how many subjects can you speak about in a community, no matter where you are in America or anywhere in the world? There's all the time needs. And that was also, when I was a young doctor, the way to make myself known. You know, I will go in most of the time a ladies club, Fille d'Isabelle, and so on, and give this lecture on menopause, and they were very interested. Of course, you know, everybody won't hear about this subject today, so that will be the way you can convert your tuition award and build this idea of humanitarian work. And then the World Organization of Natural Medicine can later on recognize you as a humanitarian clinic. You will receive a huge diploma. I think we have one here. I don't know if you can find it this morning, Alexi. It's on my desk. And I think it's an incredible idea. And because this is what is about recognition of natural medicine. You see, you have Dr. Knox now that has this diploma in her hands. And then that could be on the wall of your clinic, and then you know, people you can, you know, that's a way to relate with the community. These little, it's not little thing, you know, it's like an attitude where, you know, you want the support of the universe, you care about the universe, you care about people, you care about, because you have integrated in this program information that not necessarily everybody knows about it. And how beautiful it was to hear Dr. Knox at the beginning, the way she explained this, you know, this concept of downward causational model. I think it's a model, I think it's the nicest explanation I heard until now, you know. I think we will frame it and play it in our course later on, because it's very beautiful. But now we will go in another subject, which is also very important. You speak about autism, but I like you start, you know, with your personal challenge. You know, what was this situation for you? Because, you know, in some way, all your research, your quest has started from there. You know, your interest for natural medicine, to know more, to know other way of healing, come with this through this event. And it's also something that is very common. You know, when if I share my own journey, you know, I'm thinking about my brother when I was 18 years old, and he was, you know, he went through an osteosarcoma of the skull. That was a determinant event that has, you know, translate all my life, you know, to go in medicine and try to understand disease and suffering. And I see this with all the students, you know, either they have a personal issue or they have a family member that went through some difficulty, and this is what has triggered them to go in their studies and quests. So tell us more about this. You just start to speak about it now, but I think it's a subject that I want to really hear about more now.
Well, 34 years ago, I gave birth to a beautiful baby boy, and through the course of, in his particular case, vaccinations, he would develop a lot of screaming, things that, of course, later when I'm trying to be a detective as to why does my child have autism, he must have gotten some kind of brain inflammation from his very early vaccines, because the screaming for hours upon hours upon hours, upon days, upon weeks, following vaccinations is an indication, apparently, of brain inflammation caused by them. And anyway, by the time our son got his 15-month MMR, the lights basically went out. He became nonverbal. He couldn't look at you in the eyes. And effectively, he was fully autistic by 15 months of age. Of course, back then, I did not know what that was. And at that time, parents were considered to be the cause, or the mother in particular was to be the cause of the autism, that she was somehow cold and uncaring. And so there was not, even in the medical community, any, much help out there. So I struggled along the years with anything I could do to help. And of course, the internet wasn't out there readily available like it is today either. So searching and finding natural alternatives, finding medical alternatives for something that was pretty new. In fact, the year my son was born, 1979, Autism Society of America said the incidence of autism was 1 in 10,000. Well, today that incident is now reported by the CDC as like 1 in 92, and that's 5-year-old data. So back when Stephen developed autism, there were not very many out there. Now, Bernard Grimlin had done a lot of studies, and he had a son with autism who was born in the 60s. And so he was a good, 10, 15 years ahead of me. But he definitely said this was not caused by the mother. His one book didn't circulate past me for a lot of years. So my son was a good 10 years old before I started going to conferences and things that helped me see there was, I don't know, maybe some hope, I guess. But in the meantime, I kept finding, just by trial and error, that natural things made a far bigger difference and improvements than any of the medications that the doctors would try. Simple things like supplementing with B-complex would require me to reduce his medications to 1/4 of what was normally prescribed. So I was sort of learning step by step that natural things worked better. And of course, early on, I'm concentrating all on the physical realm. Vitamins, essentially I was of the mentality of the pill, that there's got to be something in a pill form you can take, and substituting, some supplement for some pharmaceutical was sort of the initial thrust. And then controlling the diet, keeping dyes and artificial preservatives, things like that, out of the diet as much as I could. But compared to what today, I know I really did very little back then. But in the same token, those little things I did made a big difference. I took a child that was absolutely nonverbal and got him where he was functioning with help in a regular school. And then along the way, I contact with a Dr. Alan Cott, who's retired, but he got me into looking at orthomolecular medicine, which happened to be one of the courses, that we went through at IQUIM. And that's the concept of using vitamins in large doses to do corrective therapy in the body. Now, I found a physician that did that kind of work. He did some chelation to help remove heavy metals. The first energy work, though, that I did was basically, I guess our son was about 14 at the time, and it was through using sound waves to try to correct what he was hearing. And he was having a lot of problems. His sensory organs were like oversensitive. If a bird would squawk, it would just terrify him. He couldn't handle that sound, noise. And so this auditory integration therapy is what they called it, seemed to help. And that was basically using sound waves to make a correction. And that was my first exposure to, if you will, the quantum world, you know, getting beyond just nutrition and supplements. You know. And then over the next number of years, I continued, I think we did a little combination of nutrition and supplements and nutrition, and we were able to keep his pharmaceuticals down to about a fourth of what was normally prescribed because we maintained a high level of nutrition. But all those things backfired, and our son was in his early 20s, and they backfired big time. All the negative side effects just hit, and all that work that we had done, all that he had gained, was just gone. He totally lost. He was gotten to the point where he was in college, and he was maintaining a B average, and it just totally took him out of college and academia. It just cost everything for about a period of 10 years. And we also figured that simultaneously, one of the things that happened was he sustained an injury, went to the hospital for the injury, and of course, it automatically gave him a tetanus shot. Well, since vaccines are what we figured triggered the autism to begin with, the getting a tetanus vaccination at that point re-triggered it. And so it basically lost 10 years of his life is what happened. From being in college and functioning to, we just lost everything. And it caused a very nice young man to become violent. And we had to get him out of our home. When they're 6'2" and 180 pounds, we were forced to let the state have to help us. And their response was getting him onto 5 medications 3 times a day, where prior with my nutritional approaches, he'd never been on medication more than 1 time a day, and then only no more than 2 meds, and then in this 1/4 amount. But so by the time he was under the state's care, he was on 5 doses, or 5 pills, 3 times a day, full doses. And they basically fried his brain. They told me that he would never really be happy, he'd never really be sad, that those receptors in the brain would never come back. And due to, I'll say one of the miracles, our state's governor changed the earmarking on funding, and suddenly they called us up and said, you have to come get him. He has no more funding. So when I had to go pick him up, I was terrified about bringing him back into my home because he'd been violent when he left. Now, supposedly they had him under control, but it was more of a zombie that was very, very angry that I picked up. And so my first request was to give me a schedule. How fast can I get him off of these drugs? It took me about 6 months to get him down to 1 drug, 1 time a day. But he had lost all kinds of skills that he had to go to college. He'd lost the ability to manage money. He'd lost the ability to write. And so I was basically left with a young man that I had to look for residential placement for. And the cost at that time, and this is now 10 years ago, was about $2,500 a month. And the state funding or the federal funding we were going to be able to get was about $500 a month. So we were looking at $2,000 out of our pocket for the rest of our lives in order to keep our son in a place, that would be safe for him, hopefully happy for him. And then I decided he had to work, that everybody has to work to do something with their life. And he was a very good artist. And so we developed a little art business for him called Boundless Creations. And we started going to autism conferences and trying to sell his art. I wasn't going to venture into the art community because I didn't think he was, could handle criticism, and in an autistic community, I figured they'd just be appreciative that he was doing anything because his peers were not in as good a shape as he was. And that's what happened. It was a very good, encouraging situation for him. I was working, though, probably 80 hours a week, trying to do all the work to make the art saleable and to do the sales and everything. And at one of the conferences, while our son was pacing around, and I was sort of grumbling about having to do all the work to make him a little bit of money, one of the naturopaths came up to me and said, "No, your son, he does pretty well, for his age. He was functioning, at least he was out in public, he was talking to people, not necessarily always socially appropriately, but he was trying to be social."
How old was he at this time?
It's about 24 at this point.
Okay.
And so he was pacing around, and this doctor said, though, she thought that he could be better. And I'm for it, just tell me, I will be in your office. I was struggling for anything. Well, instead what she did was she introduced me to one of the distributors that was selling a low-level laser. This would have been my second exposure to, I'll say, a quantum medicine device. And in this 3 days of the conference, he worked with Stephen in between the breaks when everyone was in the conference, and he'd sit and work with Stephen with the low-level laser. And in that 3 days, I can't say that I felt Stephen was better, but I was better. I was calmer, which meant that something had to be improved with our son, because I just was getting more relaxed. It just wasn't as stressful. And so the amount of money for the device at the time was like $3,500, which to me seemed phenomenally expensive. But I thought, what do I have to lose? We got $2,000 going out of our pocket every month if we put him into residential care. What if this works? There's that, I guess, eternal hopefulness that I had as a parent. And so we purchased the device on the basis that in 30 days, if it didn't work, we could return it for basically a restocking fee. So I did the gamble. Now I called my husband to get permission, and his response was, said, "Patty, this sounds hooey." So I said, "Okay, try it." But in that first 30 days of using energy as a healing tool, I got, my headaches went away. Bursitis in my elbow was healed. My husband's arthritis in one of his thumb joints was healed. We had a little dog, 14 and a half years old, with very severe arthritis in her hips. She was running up and down the stairs and jumping on her bed to go to sleep at night. And that was just for us who were trying it to see if it actually worked. And then our son used it on his head 3 times a day. And couldn't really tell. When you're looking at behavior things, they're very subtle. They're very hard to know. You kind of grasp for straws, But I had to pretty well weigh on how did I feel. If I was less stressed around him, then that meant something had to be better about how he functioned. He also had folliculitis infections going on at that point that by the time, this was in June, he'd already been on 6 rounds of antibiotics for folliculitis infections in that first 5 months. And he started using this laser on those infections, and they were clearing up without any more need for medication. And then at some point, these infections stopped. And they were very severe. They would go from a mosquito bite or ingrown hair or a nick with a razor go from just that little, nick to a 5 or 6 inch huge inflamed area in 24 hours. So this was a severe problem, a physical problem for him that all of a sudden, was being taken care of with energy. So my whole idea of health, healings really, really rocketed and started to change. I mean, it'd been gradually changing over the years as I saw that just controlling his diet worked better than Ritalin, things like that. Just taking B vitamins reduced the dosage to 1/4. But when I saw that energy literally stopped our constant visits to the doctor for these serious skin infections, I was like, wow. And then to have my own headaches go away in 6 minutes, it was just nothing short of miraculous as far as, for our family. And that then, of course, opened my mind. I was inquisitive. I'm looking, of course, but then to the internet is more accessible, can get more information. And I got into one of the biofeedback machines. I happened to get the Life System. I think Skio was what I was intending to order at the time, but the salesman sold me a Life. But it worked, it helped, and we found, again, more miracles. And each step that we worked into the type of, I'll say quantum biofeedback, we saw more healing. So I proceeded to get my certification first as a biofeedback technician, and then as a biofeedback specialist. And then, as I told you at the beginning, that's what's led me into IQUIM. And then the whole concept that I learned through my studies at IQUIM of the downward causation, again, as I explained, my understanding now from the, mental or the consciousness to that supramental, to the mental, to the vital, to the physical body, totally changed how I see the human body. It totally changed how we looked at things with our son, because we had initially struggled in the physical realm, and we couldn't get places in that realm. Some benefit, but not all. And then we got into working in the vital body, and we got some benefit. We got some more benefit that way that then manifested in the physical realm. And of course, coming through IQUIM, then I started to understand we've got a whole issue with the mental body too. I mean, there is a lot of stuff, bad stuff, that happened to our son through all those years with him having autism, things that my husband and I could only kind of imagine. And some things that we knew of, but we figured, well, he was too young and he wouldn't even remember. But these were things that were affecting him physically at 30 years old. There were definite things in his life that were just at absolute standstills because these were unresolved issues, places that, we had never thought before I got my degree to ever look. As we have started working in those areas, life again has gotten better. And, I'm proud to say today, he's now 34, but he is back in college. Attending Texas A&M, which I never thought he would.
What is he attending, you said? What is?
Texas A&M.
What is it?
Now, if you're a good Texan, you would know that was the Aggies. You got UT and you got Texas A&M in the state of Texas. Those are the schools. Of course, now other people will say Baylor and Rice, but top-notch school here in Texas. So we're very thrilled that he got himself admitted and to go to school again.
What a story, what a story. But people has to know too, that he was also the subject of your thesis, right? And
exactly.
And this is so important, you understand, because this is what we really encourage at the university. People is all of them thinking, oh, I have to write a PhD, and it's kind of something unreachable. And Dr. Patricia that has her own journey, but everybody most of the time go to some similar trauma, you know, is there is for themselves and the family, and they have some core interest. And this is what is I want the PhD about. You know, there is too many of these PhD that has been written in university. I call that done on a rat tail, you know, a very rare enzyme in the rat tail, and then when they finish, they put this on the shell, and nobody hears about it anymore. No, this is not what is about the target here. I like to have someone who will absolutely implement, you know, what they have learned in the programs, and sometimes that has really touched them in their life. And I have so many of students that are going this route, and so then the PhD become another opportunity, you know, to find new avenues and share this with others. So tell us more about this thesis that you have written now about your son, and that was the main subject. Yeah, he was the subject, right? Because this is how this is what we decide. You know, that was it's interesting you shared that too.
Well, he was definitely the impetus for it. He was the one that spurred the whole journey that I have been on, and then taking what I learned at IQUIM and putting that with what our experience had been. That was actually, the writing of the thesis was really an incredible learning experience. And I think it projected and pushed even further ahead, because I had hoped, like I told you, there was 16 children in a school here in Jebel, and I thought I could do the same little program I had done with my son on these 16 children. Maybe if I could get 8 parents to agree, and 8 that didn't, that'd be our controls. But I couldn't get the parents to agree, so I had to go with the next option and to use case studies. Because over the years, everything that I learned with my son, I freely shared with other parents, because we're all on a quest together out there. And in the process, there have been many parents that had a lot more success than I did, because they started on their children much younger. My son was 24 before I got the first, entered quantum technology with him. But for the parents that start with a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old, I mean, they were getting nonverbal children speaking in a week. I mean, not everybody, but gosh, for those that did, it's like, wow, that miracle is worth every bit. And so I had a whole host of families that I had helped over the years that I contacted again and requested, follow-ups on their stories, permission to write about it in my thesis. And since I had been following up with them, I had a whole, series of emails over the years reporting the progress, and, maybe this wasn't such a good year, and maybe this was, here's what we did different. And what I found was phenomenal, in that it takes looking at the entire body to have success in this area of autism. And the different treatment options that are out there fall exactly into that pattern, that when the child is young, the treatment options that focus on the physical body seem to be fairly successful for a percentage of the children. Then those that add in focus on the energy body, then they get more, another percentage that it's successful. Those that focus on the mental body by just doing behavior programs and things like that, they also get a percentage. But nobody is like 100% successful out there in these different treatment plans. And so you end up as a parent like I did, where you go after, you invest a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of hopes and dreams, and your kid isn't in the percentage that it really works for. So when I pulled all these things together, the parents who had taken up my challenge and followed my example, getting into the quantum technology, and they started incorporating some of the mental concepts, and they were basically working with all the levels of the quantum body, I'll call it. They got success. There are fabulous success stories. Yeah, totally 100%, in college. They maybe have a few little quirks. And I mean, these are young people that 10 years ago, 15 years ago, didn't have any hope. Their parents didn't think there'd be hope. But it took parents that didn't give up. And that's another thing I found out. The parents that would try for a year, say, well, I'm going to try this for a year. And then next year, well, maybe I'll try this. Those are the ones that didn't meet with success. Those are the ones that still have an autistic kid that they basically have written off. So it really takes not just the child's mental body and energy, it takes the parents. And because our energy is interconnected. And that was one of the things that I learned through my studies with the quantum technology, is that the energy from one person, from an insect, I mean, I had a picture done by a PIP camera, which shows a person's energy, the photons that bounce off their body, with a spider on the wall, and you can see how the spider impacts their energy field. Well, if a spider can impact an energy field, how much more can a parent's attitude and feeling toward their child impact that child's energy field? And of course, the work of Dr. Emoto is phenomenal. Just the difference in the crystal between saying, do it and let's do it. It's phenomenal. Well, since our bodies are 70% water, if you alter those crystals by how you speak or how you think, you change the physical being. And this is what, as I worked through the thesis and taking everything I learned at IQUIM and then analyzing everything I had been doing with my son for the past 30 years, and then adding in all these other children, and then mixing it up and comparing with what treatment options were out there, I really see that quantum medicine provides the absolute best alternative and option for individuals with autism. It takes quantum medicine, looking at all the levels of the body, and it takes that creativity, as you spoke of earlier. You have to be able to be creative. You have to be able to jump out of this body we're locked into and let yourself go back to where that supramental body is and to the greater universe, and catch on to what else is out there, because there's a lot that is right out there, but we pass it by every single day. So that's the big thing with the quantum medicine, is that it will help children with autism. It will improve their outcomes. And my son, being as he was already an adult before I started, to me, it just says that it's never too late to start. If someone out there listens to this and they've got a 16-year-old and say, well, I waited too long. No, you didn't. You're 8 years sooner than I was. And then I didn't start right at 24. That took me another 10 years of all this studying and all this learning to put even those pieces together. So there is hope.
Thank you to share this with us. It's very, very inspiring. And I like to comment about this because it's very important. One piece of the curriculum, and this is what is so precious to me, is to give this holistic or integrative understanding. And she was speaking many times during her talk this morning about the vital, the mental. I'd like you bring this slide, Alexi, about the different body. We have to use our imagination here. When we speak about body, of course, the physical has to do with the physical, But the other are what I define most of the time like layers of information. Vital, mental, supramental, and the bliss. This is what we call the five body of consciousness. But it's more than that, you know. It's like, you know, should be in the future part of the curriculum of a doctor. Not only the study of human anatomy and physiology, but what I call the subtle energy. Because most of the time in natural medicine or alternative medicine, that view is missing. And people, of course, they will have results as share with us Dr. Knox, you know, when they work at the vital body. Let's say they have more an approach of energetic approach, or they work at the physical body with the pharmaceutic and the supplement and the orthomolecular. But then others will just think about, you know, to implement some mental or at other levels. So it's very important to have an overview, an over map, so that you have strategy, and you can maintain a continuum in your approach. Because sometimes when you don't have this overview, you know what's happened with the natural healer. It is just they try this and they try that, and then they have a minimal result, and then they quit, they abandon. They don't have this overall result. And you have to realize, you know, what she's sharing with us is years of time and trying to make a difference. And then she starts first with the orthomolecular approach, and then later on she discovered the quantum. But, you know, it takes a lot of breath, you know, when you face chronic disease or a problem like autism or others, and it cannot be just solved overnight. You know, you need to have the whole picture, the whole understanding. And this is what is, I think, one of the contribution or one of our main concern when I got in this in medicine, because as a medical doctor, and I came study alternative and complementary medicine, in some ways, you know, there was thing missing. It's like I saw people, you know, using homeopathy or other natural medicine and other acupuncture, but there was not like an overall picture where I could rely with my client, or where I could have this continuum, what I'm speaking about, where also I need some time to time some evaluation tool that will reflect the activity in the vital body or in the mental and so on, so I know where my client is going. So I think this is very important what Dr. Knox was sharing this morning. But again, we have to come to this common understanding, you know, in natural medicine about this subtle anatomy, so we can have a strategy to challenge a chronic disease that is more, I would say, study that is more structured and organized. But I know now, I see the time is just flying and flying, and I know we have you know, people who would like to ask questions. So I don't want to be taking all the floor here, and I think now that this will be the time for Dr. Knox also to answer a question from our audience. And so can we go? We have a chat room, I believe, here, and yeah, let's start here with few questions. So, which one, Alexis? Here in Colombia, we have a Quantum Hero program just start on this. We're 6 practitioners working on a little town. So, yeah, I don't know if this is a question, but you know, when she I didn't have the time to speak about this morning, but when I spoke about this year that we will award the best humanitarian one, this is what we call the Quantum Hero. And I have to acknowledge, you know, I have to use the idea of the CNN. They have every year they acknowledge the best humanitarian work. And so now in our world, it's a Quantum Hero. It's not a CNN hero. And someone from Colombia said, you know, they have already started their initiative. Please send us information about it. You know, we like also to share this with all other students And I invite people on the Facebook, and I think Dr. Knox would be probably, could be the mentor of that. Not a chronic, but on the Facebook, a blog or discussion about the Quantum Hero. What are your idea about yourself, how you can do humanitarian work, and what is your initiative? Please, that could be very exciting to have entertain this kind of discussion on the Facebook, because we all will inspire each other, and at the end of the year, we'll be pretty excited, to give this award, the Quantum Hero of the Year. And we have, as I said, we start with this humble contribution, but as years will go, we will increase the price, and that will give a little incentive for everybody to participate. So, can we take another question here? So you see Colombia. So this is Quantum Hero Program, but we don't have any name here, but I know one of my students which is there. So please go on the Facebook, share with us your experience. Also, Vicky, who is our Vice President of Education, will be the one who is in charge of this program. You can communicate with her, and then, as I said, we can have a discussion on the Facebook. Is it, where is Saudi are you?
Where is she in Saudi?
Where are you in Saudi? Are you, Pat?
Oh.
This is what she is asking here.
Okay, I live in Jubail, Saudi Arabia. It is on the eastern coast, just north of the town of, well, it's a three-city area, Dammam, Drouin, and Khobar.
Thank you. So let's go on the other question here. Can natural medicine cure a Lou Gehrig disease, also known as ALS, amyolateral syndrome? Yeah, I don't know if you can answer this question, but most of the time this is a neurologic degenerative disease. At the beginning, it's confused with MS syndrome, multiple sclerosis, and it's pretty aggressive. I don't know. Do you want to answer that, or do you have any knowledge about Lou Gehrig, or?
I don't have specific.
And then I will comment after that. Okay. Yes.
Well, I get asked by anybody I meet, what do you know about this? What do you know about natural medicine? And it wouldn't matter, what disease you're throwing in front. I always have to go back to the body is all connected. We don't just have something in one spot go wrong without something somewhere else. You don't just have an isolated problem. You have a systemic problem. And whenever something is not going right, you can't just change a sick cell and make it healthy. The way you get a healthy body is you have to make as the cells divide and reproduce, you have to provide it with the right nutrients to build a healthy cell, and you have to have enough energy, and you've got to be giving it the right information. And as we studied in our quantum medicine, and in fact in the What the Bleep Do You Know, explain how if you're angry and a cell is dividing and making a new cell, it will have to have more anger receptors on it than if you weren't. Well, if there are more anger receptors, then there are fewer other receptors. And so if you want to overcome any illness, you're going to have to make healthy new cells. And if you don't look at the body as, giving it the basic things, then anything else you do is just going to be, the stopgap trying to, pick off little things here and there, but you'll never get to the real problem. And I think any disease you have to look at as you've got to get the right building blocks in there, the right nutrient, and you've got to have energy. Again, I think of a chemical plant. You've got to have the right plan coming into it. You've got to have the right blueprints, and then you've got to have the right construction materials. If you put carbon steel where stainless steel pipe should be, you're going to have a problem. Same thing goes in our body. If we put in man-made fats like margarine, great big molecules, they are not going to work and build a healthy cell that a natural molecule that's 4 to 16 carbon atoms might do. And so if you're trying to correct anything, you've got to at least start with the right building blocks.
Thank you. That's a very good answer. But I like to add here, the thing is you have to understand, diagnose become or come from medicine. And medicine has based this diagnosis on an approach which is, I will define as a materialistic model. And doesn't mean we deny that. But sometimes, it puts the individual, I will say, in a box with a fatal issue. When you think in terms of Lou Gehrig or MS syndrome, multiple sclerosis, and you start to look at all the statistics that medicine will provide to you, it's like, you are in a box where it's like 4 walls, and there is no window, no door, and you cannot get out of this. When we start to add this vision that we are speaking about here, with the vital body and all this anatomy I am speaking about, now you start to change your way to look at this individual. So instead to look in terms of fatalism, you work in terms of multiple possibilities. And what she's saying, Dr. Knox also, when she speaks about this plant, where you have the blueprint and then you have the chemical, it's like you have to look at all these layers of information. When I had to deal in my practice, I didn't have Lou Gehrig, but I have many MS syndrome, and this is what the way you have to evaluate the client. You have to know, first of all, the aspect, the physical, and this is what, if you go in the program, the 5 pillars. What is the nutritional level of that individual, and what are the capacity to assimilate and regenerate and detox. So this is kind of the information about what I call bioterrain. But it's not just that, but you have people that has just approached the Lou Gehrig or any degenerative disease, neurologic disease from that approach, which is okay. But now you have to add the vital body, which is what is about. It's about, all the information we will receive from, Taoist medicine, acupuncture medicine, homeopathy, everything that has to do with vital force, the flow of energy in the energy of the meridians. And then you get, cross the mantle, but this is where the conflict most of the time, because there is a conflict that is associated most of the time to this neurologic disease. And by the way, medicine doesn't even know what is the cause. They speak about autoimmune, they speak about, but what is exactly the cause? And this is where what we call in the program the new quantum medicine, inspired by the work of Dr. Hammer. There is conflict, specific conflict that will generate specific type of imbalance. So we have to explore that. And the Lou Gehrig has a specific one. I have to review this, but I remember the MS syndrome. Most of the time it's a fear associated with a feeling to be depreciated. So I don't want to go in detail about it, but if you go in the course, you will find it. So you have to explore also that aspect, because as she explained with her son, there is memories, there is conflict that keep you caught in this drama that you have created. Because most of these diseases are just most of the time an answer to keep you in balance. They are an attempt. Even if we speak about degenerative disease or cancer, an attempt in some way to solve some kind of conflict, but it's like an emergent way, but at the same time it killed the individual. So we have to explore that. And then it may happen also we may have to go at the other level of information. So in other words, and this is what Dr. Knox said this morning, you have to approach this with a broader view. Because if you try to approach this with, let's try this product, it has helped this one with Lou Gehrig, or let's try this one, you know, then you may have for a time a short result, but you know, this is the type of problem that you need to have a long breath, you know, to feed yourself. And so, and then we don't like to say, here we cure disease. It's about healing. It's about to feed this layer in a formation in a way that you restore health. You know, we have also to shift our way to look at the individual, because we don't want in quantum medicine this language, oh, I cure that one. I'm reading now the book of Dr. Paul in Reconnective Healing, which is fantastic. And he has noticed the same thing. We are not fixing things here. We are not, in quantum medicine, you learn that you're just part of the whole process. You know, it has to do how this individual will take charge of the whole process. So it's like, you know, here you have the universe, you have consciousness, entangled with a healer. So you don't own the outcome of this. So, so knowing all this, you know, this is how you will, you know, create an environment which is an optimum environment to make that healing happen. Because ultimately, what will happen? You have to recreate in that individual a new experience of reality. You have to bring them out of their box, of this drama that they have created. And this is where Dr. Goswami speaks about new brain circuit. You know, this healing process will come with a new way to perspective. There will be like a leap of awareness there. And then we explain this and explain that in the program when we speak about quantum creativity. I'm very impressed this morning with this program and excited because I see how Dr. Knox has implemented this in a personal you know, challenge, and this is what it's about. And of course I understand people, they will all the time come and ask, you know, can you cure that? We have to change this. Do you know that in this society, when you use this language, it's very expensive? And nobody can even afford that anymore. You know, we try to pass the bill to the government, and the government has to put, you know, because I come from Canada, so I know what is a more government type of medicine. I am in America now, and I know what is more another type of medicine. So everybody tried to, you know, pass the bill to the other one. But, you know, why? Because they cannot afford anymore this kind of language. Can you cure that disease? When you start to study quantum medicine, you start to change this language about, you know, here, you know, let's bring an environment. Let's learn about, you know, what is the optimum condition of healing. And there, everything is possible. You cannot say because this condition is a degenerative disease, cannot be reversed. We have seen everything. But then, of course, you know, you have to change your take and the relation with the client. So let's take another question here. And so that will be our way to approach that. Okay. Yeah, I see another one here, multiple sclerosis. I think I answered this. What is the next one? Italian. No, let's see if my French help here. Grise per l'opportunità mi offrite. I'm sorry. My French is not enough to translate that. And then we have Mark Glasgow here, who is from South America. Pat, your story is inspiring. Oh, yes, I agree with you. I spent time in Saudi Arabia at Al-Far, Al-Batin, so I understand the challenge of what you are doing. Thank you to share this with us. So I think, you know, we have a student that knows exactly what you are speaking about, and it's corroborate just what you said. So let's go. I think we have other question here. Thank you for your comment, Mark. Another guest here. This is such an exciting broadcast. Thank you very much, Dr. Pat Knox, of course, here, Alexi and I. Pat, you seem to be an innate missionary. I like this now, innate. Bravo for your humanitarian work. So how you feel about to be an innate missionary?
Well, I think when as you said, that we've generally, those of us in the natural healing path, came there because of hardship on our own part. And I think when you are able to give back something that makes someone else's life better, eases their pain, it somehow gives validity to the suffering that you went through to get to the point where you were able to share. So I don't know that it's innate. I think it just comes because of a whole lot of heartache and pain and struggles over the years. And if I can do something that alleviates any of that pain for somebody in the future, it gives my life some value, and it gives all the suffering and everything that my family has gone through some validity.
Thank you. Thank you to share that with us. Do we have other question, Alexei? Okay. Way to go. I start by the top, right?
Yep.
Way to go, Pat, Akka, Mom. We are so proud of you. Thank you for your comment. Another one here, truly inspiring. Much love to you all. Another one, Aunt Pat, great interview. Mike G from MI, which is what, Michigan? Hope to talk to you soon. I think you probably know that person, right?
That sounds like a niece of mine.
Okay, that's a family thing.
Thanks.
Let's go take another one, Alexei. Such an outstanding story. I am very tempted to pursue my study. Yeah, this is the idea of Quantum World TV. You know, it's to keep on everybody on inspiring, and this is what we like to have. You know, of course, every program is different. We like also to have guests that share also their knowledge. That's the goal of the program. And then I invite also to pursue this kind of discussion on the Facebook, because this is how we build this community together. This is what Teilhard de Chardin called the noosphere, you know, this kind of mental body all over around the planet now that exchange information, and it's very inspiring. So let's take another question here. Lisa, me too. Namibian. It seems like the possibilities are endless. It's so exciting. We see the graphic again, please. Could we see the graphic again? Yeah. Okay, we can show this. You know, this is one of the graphics. You know, the program comes with plenty of them. And we like to illustrate, you know, because it's all the time somewhat difficult to grasp this concept. And so we have put a lot of effort in the program to come with a chart and design. So we, at least, you know, I understand, you know, the reality is much more complex than that, but they are very good help to, you know, to memorize these ideas. And what is also important in our world is the word we are using. We're creating at this time, I would say, this language. And this is what is about this new quantum medicine. We call it integrative medicine or natural medicine. But before, I would say 10, not even 10, but let's say 20 years ago, you know, you try to communicate this concept to the conventional medicine, and the language was not there. And this is what is the contribution of quantum physics. They have created a language where we start now to communicate what is subtle, you know, the magic of healing, how this works, how, you know, the entanglement and how everything is interconnected together. How many people has intuition this before, but the language was not there. Now we have more scientific language to bridge what I would say the scientific world with the healing world, the quantum healing world, and it's very important. And this is our work here, to create a platform where we could understand each other between all these different models of healing. Please, let's take another question. Your peace, joy, and contentment are coming through across the internet. Oh, absolutely. I completely agree with that. Thank you for sharing a truly inspiring experience. Where are you living in the state? Where are you living in the state when your son received vaccine that trigger autism? So this is a question for you, from Tomoko. Where were you, Pat, when?
I was living in Texas, and then we moved to Oklahoma, where he received I'll say the finishing shots.
Yeah, and the vaccination is a huge problem. I know it's a political one, and sometimes, you know, parents are caught, and it doesn't mean everybody that has vaccination will react this way, and this is what is also the problematic there. There's a homeopathy products that can be given also when, you know, they receive vaccination. I'm not saying it works all the time, but at least, you know, it comforts the people when they don't have any other choice. This is a huge problem. I don't think we will do the discussion of that this morning.
Just
yes.
Real quick, Dr. Paul, I'd like to comment that when I worked on my thesis and I put all this together, I would say that I am not a believer that vaccines are the cause of autism, and I'd like to make that clear. I believe it's a total load that we have done to our children that's causing this incredible increase in autism. Vaccines is a component, but there are lots of other components, from fluoride in our water to excitotoxins in our food, electromagnetic. It's a total load. We truly, in the Western world, in America in particular, we are poisoning and destroying our children with our modern technology is what it amounts to. Yeah. The body can only stand so much assault.
I completely agree with this. And sometimes, you know, it's the drop that will trigger the whole thing, you know, the extra.
Exactly.
And so it's a complex situation. So I hope, you know, one time we will have the opportunity to go more in depth. But I understand that there is a debate there, which has to be, you know, answered. Nina, what amazing journey. I am so touched by the fact that your direction was determined by love every step of the way, a mother love for her son. Thank you so much for your comment here. That's absolutely. This is what I saw through the whole screen this morning. Just an expression of love, and then when you were speaking about, you know, if this can help other parents, you know, and this is what is about quantum medicine when we think about it. You know, it's just bring back the experience of helping others, you know, to this vibrating love, you know. And unfortunately, sometimes, you know, the way medicine has been secularized, and, you know, and of course it's not all negative, because you find love also in conventional medicine, you know, where it's not all the time personal, but the environment sometimes doesn't support that, because it's became too legalist, and then they have to go through so many procedures, and then, you know, and so this is the intent here of this quantum integrative medicine, is to bring back, you know, this old-fashioned relation that was existing between the family doctor and his, you know, client or patient, you know, something which is come more from the heart. And this morning, that was absolutely beautiful to see that. Thank you very much. So let's take another question here. Yeah. Possibilité avérée, la traduction in Italian, yeah, we have to internationalize this Quantum University, you know, Spanish and Italian, and also what about French, you know, that part I can do. Okay, Alexis, can we go? Wonderful, very inspiring, practical, and informative. Pat, are you familiar with Dr. Shona and her work with autism? That's a question, specific question. Should I repeat it, Alexis? Sure. Are you familiar with Dr. Shona and her work with autism?
No, I am not. I'm familiar with a lot of work out there, but not that particular.
Oops, I think she answered, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we have, can energy medicine detect cancer? How can it cure? Okay, I like to answer this question, but let's see how Dr. Knox will answer that, you know.
Well, I think I have to go back to the question when they asked about ALS. When you look at the body, if you have not been feeding it, exposing it to the products, building blocks it needs to rebuild a healthy cell, if you are interrupting its the energy that it needs to communicate with, energy, I mean, a cell has to have the correct signal and energy to know when to die. And that it's when it doesn't die that it turns into a cancer. Now, why did it not get the message, you need to die, it's your time, I've replaced, it's now time to die? The questions have to go deeper than, oh, I have a cancer, how do I get rid of it? You need to start asking why. Where did the disruption happen? There's lots of questions to ask, and the more that those questions get asked and answers get found, I think we'll find that cancer is not such the monster and the mystical thing that it is presented today. I think we just aren't asking the right questions.
Yeah, thank you, and I absolutely agree with this. The question is also about, we're not asking the right question and we're not looking at the same parameters. And this is a problem that I've seen from the beginning of my practice. Because, you know, the thing is, here, your question is very important. You know, is energy medicine will be able to detect? Yes, in some way, but the parameters that we will look for will be different and defined differently than it is in conventional medicine. I know my conventional medicine. I've done all my, you know, training, residentship, and practice it for 20 years. You know, the medical doctor relate to parameter to establish a diagnosis. So in some way, when you walk in the office, you're looking here, you try to find in that individual what is wrong about that individual. And if you are a good doctor, you better find it, because if you make a wrong diagnosis, you know, you could be, you know, punished for it. So, but this is the mindset up here. And at the end of the day, when you end to the prevention, you end with a series of tests, or you try to screen, you know, and some of them, I would say, are not bad at all. You know, if you think by example, the cervix, you know, the cell, the pap tests, you know, but most of the time are not sensitive enough to catch the disease at an earlier stage. Why? Because, you know, when the cancer cell appear, we are already in the physical. Sure, can we, and I think this is about her question, can we know, by example, when we were speaking about the subtle body, can you already perceive change at that level, at the vital body, by example, or at the physical body? And that was, you know, 20 years ago, what really fascinated me. This is why I start to look, you know, what has to say dark field microscopy and Kirlian photography, ball electroacupuncture, all these quantum biofeedback device. And I can continue the list here of devices that will try to attend and see a subtle change in the energy field. And the problem we face here, and this is what we discussed with Dr. Goswami in the program, is what we call the quantum measurement. Because what's happening in these subtle layers of information are most of the time non-local. What means it's non-perceived. You cannot perceive it. It's another real, it's kind of a parallel world. But you can see indirect change. And this is how you will start to picture, you know, through a shadow, what's happening. You know, it's like just come back, you know, in the Greek time, the Plato allegory, where you have you are in the cave, you see the shadow in the cave, and actually you think these are the right person. So this is in some way from this shadow that you try to define, you know, how looks the real thing beyond that. The problem sometimes with medicine today, what I find very sad is prevention become pharmaceutic. If you don't take that pill, this is what is waiting for you. If you don't take this calcium, you know, watch out your bones, or, you know, they have instead, this is where the prevention is going, you know, try to pharmaceutic, you know, the whole thing that, you know, if you don't take this medication, this is how you can prevent. This is not where we should go. We should go more developing new technology that will in some way reveal indirectly what's going on in this subtle body, that we can really bring the proper a lot of questions I have received, that will the proper correction. That question is so important. You know, I cannot just pass by it. And so what it means, you know, you should know what's happening at the bioterrain level, physical. So you can correct assimilation, you can correct an overload of oxidation, free radical, and so on. You have 5 pillars that we have teach. And then you go at the vital body, doing the work that was doing this ancient acupuncturist guy, you know, who were taking the pulse, and he can tell you already in advance that this meridian is out of balance, and maybe, you know, you should correct this way of thinking or this way of eating, so if you don't want the organ, you know, get in failure. And then at the mental level, there is other technique that can be implemented, so you change pattern of thinking that most of the time sabotage yourself. So this is where is going this Star Trek quantum energy medicine, developing new technology that will feed us with different parameters about what can we do to improve that individual. You know, I don't think we will have all the time this morning, but, you know, sometimes medicine is very rude. I saw this this week, you know, on national TV. Probably I don't know, you probably noticed that. I'm sorry if you are from Italy now, but we have this very sympathetic governor, Governor Christie. And everybody know about his overweight. He knows about it, and he knows about all the effect. But then you have this doctor who come on the national TV and start to be, you know, threatening him that he will die and this and that. This is, you see, this is a very rude approach to this kind of problem. And this is where quantum medicine should be different. Because we have, most of the many health problem has to do with change of behavior, change of habit. But we have in our toolbox much more subtle strategy to change behavior and recreate brain circuit. And this is what was sharing with us this morning, Dr. Knox, that will absolutely help the individual. Other strategy that just the kick in the butt, and then threatening someone on the national TV that if he doesn't change his habit, then he will die of this, of that. You know, this is where medicine has to become a little bit more sophisticated, you know, much more, you know, refined, and having a broader perspective, you know, to grasp the complexity of the individual, which is not just at the level of the gross, but also at the level of the subtle. I think we have few minutes for other questions. I'm sorry, you know, I'm triggered this morning. These questions are very good. So let's see here, in the scatter wave laser that you use for your son, if so, which program were most helpful? I invite, because we don't have the time this morning, we will send you a link. You can consult the work of Dr. Knox, her PhD, and see exactly, you know, what she was doing there. I don't think we can go specifically. I see there's just a few minutes left, so.
We can go a little bit over.
Okay, but, you know, do you want to answer that more precisely, Dr. Knox?
Well, I can answer that real quickly, I think.
Okay, go. Go ahead.
I used a Q1000 laser. I did not use the scalar. So I don't know exactly, you know, how they match up. But my particular laser had frequencies on it that one was related to heart and brain frequency. My son used that 15 minutes in the morning, and anywhere on his head that he had hair. Okay, so back, not away, not the face, but back in here. He'd use it 15 minutes. And then sometime middle of the day, he would use a frequency that was either for nerves or mine was called a universal healing code, 15 minutes. And it was one that I felt worked very much to stimulate the I'll say growth, improvement, healing of the nerve cells. And so that one, again, anywhere on his head that he had hair, and up and down the spine, because obviously your spine is full of nerves. And then the third mode that we used was one with serotonin, dopamine frequencies in it. And those just on the back of the head, just back here. And now they also could use it in the stomach and the abdomen, because most of the serotonin receptors are in the gut area. So if children have trouble sleeping, but for our son, we used it pretty much just on the back of the head. And we did that 15 minutes, then basically 3 times a day.
Okay, thank you. I like here, to mention something. Don't keep on this interview the overall approach, because most of the time what we are tempted, I'm not saying it's not good, but it's like give me the recipe, Dr. Knox, that has worked for your son. And we are so tempted to go there, and it's okay, because it doesn't mean, you can just implement the same recipe. I'm not against that at all. But, if you listen her story, it's not just that what has worked. What has worked is how she has put the therapy she has in her hand to how she has used them. And this is what I see most of the time, people. This is another thing that happened in this natural business. People are all the time looking for a specific tool, specific recipes, and they don't have the understanding how to use them. And now they're getting a new tools and a new this, and they try again another. And this is what she said previously. If sometimes you have to implement, a strategy at the physical level, nutritional level, mental level, and this is this broad and this understanding of the mechanics that is most of the time missing in this natural medicine. People are just having like a piece, and then they want to know exactly what is the recipes, and then they run and they try to cook the same thing, and then they are surprised that the same thing will not work in their situation. So, I'm not. This is not because I don't want to go there, but there's a temptation. I saw this so many times. You go, you study, and we want this at the beginning because it's very safe, secure. You try this. My grandma tried that products, for this problem, but this, then you lost the whole perspective. So let's take another question here. Thank you. I have wanted to volunteer my service for years. What is the best way to go about this so my knowledge and ability are used in the best way possible? I expect to have my PhD in natural medicine this year from IQUIM. So we will entertain on the Facebook the discussion about that. It's what we just spoke this morning is the Quantum Hero program. Vicky is in charge of education, will be the mentor of that. And then just go also on this website that you have seen, and we can give the link, Quantum Natural Medicine Association, And then we have do you have the website of Quantum Hero? So let's put it now. So you will have explanation there. So start with something that resonates with you. It's not don't stretch too much yourself, because you just look around and you will find absolutely what is your resonate with. So do we have the website where we explain the Quantum Hero?
Yes, it's iqim.org/quantum.
Can you put it now?
Oh yeah, sure.
Can we see it now? So there is so much work to do, and please, if you have time to help us at the university, because we need a resource to, mentor this program and ask questions. But here, if you go on this on the website, Quantum Hero, frequently asked question: what is a Quantum Hero? What is the tuition award? Yeah, how I can receive a Quantum Hero tuition, what is a clinic for humanity. So we are going to all this point there. So if you click, I guess, on the plus, you know, there you have the answer, right?
Yeah.
You see? So it's already a good start. So at least, you know, going to all these questions will give you an overview. And then, of course, you have the program this morning that give you a sample. You know, Dr. Knox as pioneer in her own area. So please just go visit the website. The discussion will be pursued on the Facebook, and you can also send email to Vicky Mathieu, which is the Vice President of Education. You can put her email, maybe, Alexis? And then please, you know, if you have someone that like to help us with this project, because, you know, we have already set up the project now for, I would say, 2 years, but we need much more resource to implement that. So, and that could be your humanitarian work, you know, to be in charge of the Quantum Hero program. This is a call that I sent this morning because to grow this university, you know, we need a little more resource, and your help will be very welcome. Okay, curing statistic while we are being adapting to our environment, and thank you for the comment. According to Dr. Hammer discovery, the biological conflict link to the muscle is not being able to escape. Oh yeah, okay. Thank you, Mark, for that. The conflict we were speaking about, the Lugering, right? The biological in the muscle is not being able to escape, feeling tied down, feeling sucked, resulting in muscle paralysis during the conflict active. Thank you to share this with us. So this is an aspect that has to be explored with the Lugering. Biological significance of the paralysis is a phase-dead reflex because in nature, a predator often attacks a prey only when it tries to escape. This instinctive response is, since I can't escape, I play dead, causing paralysis until the danger is over. Yeah, I didn't have it in my mind. So yeah, thank you very much to share that with us, Mark. So let's continue, Alexis, because we are late. So from Tomoko now, for someone who suffers from tendinosis, what should be the best quantum healing method work the best? She's currently on several meds for pain. So I don't want to go in the protocol this morning because we don't have time. But of course, you know what Dr. Knox spoke this morning, that laser is one of the approach. There's so many. I will use kind of a mix with homeopathic cream and acupuncture approach, using either laser or electroacupuncture. You know, which one is the best, you know? Yeah, no, that would be another long discussion. Just keep going, Alexis, because I don't want to go in the recipes this morning. There's so many. And then you can pursue that discussion also on the Facebook. I wish my sister-in-law, whose son is autistic, will have heard your presentation. LSP, 18 years old, February. You know what? You have to know that all the World TV program I record. So let's go on the website, let's see, and show them how any people can see a previous program that we have done. So this program will be, it's not just one time, you know. It will be replayed. It will be available to be replayed in any time you want. So you go on the website, you go event, right, Alexis? The drop menu event, and there you will see on the left, go slowly, on the left side, Quantum World TV, and there World Knox highlight the top 5 reasons. Quantum system, which one you
All previously.
Okay, all previously record event, the bottom one on the left side, and there you will see, I think it's on the right side, with all this, you know, all the subject that has been done previously, and of course the one we're doing this morning will be available to be received. And you know, most of the time we have over 500 to 1,000 people that will see these programs afterwards, because not everybody can be with us this morning, and this is what we have noticed. You know, the next week we have hundreds of people that replay this, so you can replay it for your, what was the nephew, or can you show me the question again? So you can show this program to anybody, so if you found it inspiring, you send the link, and that's our pleasure to share this, you know, with anybody. Sister-in-law. Hi, Lisa. The recording of this will be available on the website. Okay. Thanks, Alexei. What else? I've never really had an interest in medicine. Namibian. But through yoga and meditation, I found that I have a natural gift to help others. I have always had a urge to do humanitarian work, but felt frustrated and scared because I didn't know how I can play a role in it. With Quantum University, give me the necessary tool to go out in the world and be an ambassador for world peace. Thank you to share that. And this is, you know, it's a common experience. You know, we welcome so many people, you know, in our university that fundamentally they are healer, but in some way the society is not structured to make them the path to practice that gift. And what I discover, you know, if all this gift was at the service of the community, there was probably be less people sick around. And so this is one of our, I would say, beliefs that everybody that has a sincere desire to help others with healing should have a path to make that happen. No matter what is the background, no matter what is the country, the state, and so, or even the level of education. So we try to, of course, give the premise and the information that people can, you know, we can build them, you know, from, you know, the beginning, and as a doctor in integrative medicine or natural medicine. So thank you for your comment. Let's take another one. I think we. Where are we here? Banvani have. Oh, so many questions. I have a son on the autistic spectrum. He has been blossoming because of the unconditional love we have for him. He has been my teacher and guru in helping me silence my mind on the mental chatter. What they need from you from the beginning was a parent who will listen first to his and her heart. From the place of unconditional love or pure consciousness, all possibility arise when the heart is open. Thank you for your thank you for your comment here, and I think Dr. Nuss, this is exactly what she has expressed. You know, it came from her heart. So true. We have been looking at treating the symptom rather than addressing the cause. Bless cancer in our body way of telling us that something is out of balance. Thank you for your comment. Dr. Pichet, Christian Pichet again, who's also one of our dear teacher. Hello, Dr. Knox. I can certainly relate to your story working with young autistic children. I am using vibrational program with those kids and having great result. I start a volunteer vibrational program in the school I work. Did you mention at what level your son was diagnosed, light, moderate, or severe autism? Thank you for sharing your inspiring experience. Yeah, you probably can comment about this, but just before you start, you know, this is what is important. You see, she come from another angle, and so I'm sure that you can have also a result using other tool here. This is what I was speaking. When you have this broad understanding, now you know you can implement different technicalities. So. Would you like to answer her question about the degree of autism, or?
Well, first off, again, my son was born in 1979, and I did not get him officially diagnosed with autism until he was age 14. At the time, though, I brought in the evaluations he had had since about 12 months old, and the doctor that was doing the evaluation said that from the 12-month-old evaluation, they could, if he could have been diagnosed as autistic. So at that point, he was head banging, nonverbal, no eye contact.
Oh boy!
So
it's pretty severe.
I don't know. I think there's always somebody more severe out there. But there's children that are diagnosed later, school age will be considered maybe Asperger's and higher functioning. But autism is determined by how much language they get, how much language they're able to understand. So you can go from very low functioning to high functioning just by making that bridge to where they can handle, or they can understand language.
Thank you. So I think we have one more question. And I think, you know, we have to respect the time of the program. Can we take the last question? And then I invite everybody to pursue this conversation on the Facebook, you know. What is the last one? I was told I had a skin cancer, basal carcinoma, a few years earlier. I became aware through a floating bath spa treatment that I was channeling my mother's sadness for 40 years. Guess where the skin graft was? Under my right eye, below the tear ducts. My human envelope has been healed and I'm no longer crying her pain. What a discovery and relief. So thank you to share that also, Lisa Gauthier. And this is, you know, this kind of sensitivity, you know, awareness that healer develop, you know, to be, try to understand, you know, sometimes this very subtle relation, you know, between the symbolism and emotion and past memories. And it takes that sensibility sometimes to understand how some disease has been generated. So thank you very much all. Thank you so much, Dr. Knox, you know, for your absolutely inspiring story. And I think everybody has enjoyed it from the comment. And please, you know, if you'd like to review this program, we welcome you to go on the event and Quantum World TV, and you can send the link, you know, to friends if you like. It's this is what is for this program. Thank you very much, all, and see you next time at World TV, Quantum World TV. Thank you.